Hello everyone, welcome to a new Dr. Vast video where we're going to be going over the top decks in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Synchro event. Well, currently, the best deck, just like in the previous Synchro event as last year, is Swordsoul. This might as well be called the Swordsoul Turbo event because, my goodness, this deck goes crazy in this event. Not because it has like the highest power level, it's just the most consistent and can also put up negates. This event doesn't really have much in terms of like stopping hand traps, because as you can see, you can run 3 copies of Ash, 3 copies of Maxine. But the thing about Swordsoul and what you really need to strive for in this event is consistency. And even though they hit the Moye to 1 and Longyan is at 2, and that's just due to the event or due to the ban list, this deck is still just very powerful, very consistent. You're going to put up your boards super easily, and honestly speaking, there's not going to be many ways around it. And even in my version, if I were to run Swordsoul, I'm going to run Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, because I know I'm going to run to this event or run to this deck in this event, and there's going to be certain cards that are going to be played even if I don't go first. So for example, Baron de Fleur is going to be played a lot in this event. So if I know I'm going up against even like, you know, a Stardust Synchron deck, they're going to be running Baron. If I go up against other decks, I'm probably going to replace Blackwing Dragon with any other Synchro monster, like Chaos Ruler. I know Chaos Ruler isn't good in this deck, but Chaos Ruler is going, or isn't the best. Chaos Ruler is going to be amazing against other decks who need some. So like this will put a hamper to most decks playing. It was with Winter Cherries. If I were to run this deck, I would substitute out a couple of other cards just to make sure that Winter Cherries is always live. But like Psychic and Punisher is going to go crazy in this event, where he's just unaffected if your life points are lower than your opponent's. And this deck doesn't really utilize them well, but you can utilize them. So yeah, keep an eye out for Swordsoul in this event. You can copy this deck and use it if you want. You can use your own deck in this event. Swordsoul isn't going to be the only deck that you can use, but if you already have it, I'm sure you're going to already have an idea of what to use. Other deck was super obvious, Swordsoul. But again, this is pretty much the Swordsoul event. But the next deck up is Goaty. So this deck is the new deck that was brought into Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. And this deck is a control variant of a water style deck, which is one of the first water synchro decks that if you're not going to count Atlanteans. And this deck has a very unique play style. It's pretty similar to Metaphys, where your goal is to synchro summon or summon during your opponent's turn and interrupt their plays by banishing their cards. And you can quick effect banish pretty much all cards your opponent controls with a pretty unique field spell that cannot be destroyed or banished if you control a fish synchro monster. So this deck is definitely one to keep an eye out for. And if you're curious on what to run on Winter Cherries against this deck, it would definitely be Goaty Beyond the Deep. This card is going to be Absolute Menace, or even Swordsoul Supreme Sovereignty, just to prevent your opponent. And again, another deck that uses Baron de Fleur. So again, Goaty is a very unique deck, pretty fun, and a control variant that when this deck starts rolling is pretty much game is over. But the hardest part is getting that initial rolling to start. If you want to run this deck, this is certainly a deck profile. However, if you have your own deck profile, or if you want to look at other people, I'll recommend looking at their videos, because I do not run Goaties, so me personally speaking will not be the best person to go to. Next up, we have one of my personal favorites, a Synchron deck. This variant is going to be the Majestic Synchron variant, whereas they banned Junk Speeder, so we can't get out 5 tuners. So you really have to tailor your deck around really keeping balanced hands and ultimately not breaking. This, again, there's multiple variants of this deck out there. This is my variant because I want to have Synchron. I might edit before, you know, the event really goes live, but there's a lot of stuff in this extra deck and stuff that I would love to see being played. Like Majestic Star Dragon, love his anime debut. Shooting Majestic Star Dragon is a brilliant, amazing, beautiful card. I love it. So this deck right here, I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like this deck is going to be amazing. Swordsoul still going to be the best deck in this event by far, but this can really get around. And also I rock a copy of this Harpy's Feather Duster. You never know when you're going to be running into a weird control of this deck. I didn't look at the control decks, but they've really been going after them in these Yu-Gi-Oh events just to make sure that you stay within archetype and that everyone can have fun synchro summoning. Even though synchros, in my opinion, is the most control and one of the most difficult mechanics in Yu-Gi-Oh! I also love pendulums and can run those in my sleep. So, synchros isn't my number one, or isn't one of my favorite summoning mechanics, but this synchron deck is definitely going to be one that I will run in this event and one I'm going to make a video over. Next up is Red Dragon Archfiend. So this deck is probably going to be really good in this event too, especially if you can bring out Red Supernova Dragon, who cannot be destroyed by card effects and can remove your opponent's entire field instantly. Or if you summon a hot Red Dragon Archfiend with one of the multiple ways to choose them out during your opponent's turn, you just automatically win the game. When there's other win conditions on this deck like Red Supernova Dragon, and this will be one of the few decks not running Baron de Fleur, mostly because running Baron de Fleur is not really in the heart of the cards of this deck. You get locked into Dark Dragon type monsters, so you don't want to run cards that are not Dark Dragon type monsters, which is this entire extra deck essentially. And see, I have this deck almost finished. I can honestly complete, I don't have the UR points at the moment, but this is definitely a deck to keep an eye out for, because if this deck goes first, honestly, there's almost no stopping this deck. Again, I haven't troubleshooted this deck, but the first thing I'm going to do is, if I were to run this deck, is take out Red Gartna, take out Clashing Souls, and just play cards that can go second, put in Max C, those type of cards, take out Raigeki, So this is honestly a very fun variant of his deck, but I wouldn't say it's the best. When I post, or if I post a video of this deck, I want to have it more tailored to what I have, what I can do. So keep in mind that all these decks are flexible. You can run it the way how you want to run it. And making a second showcase in my deck profiles is Speedroids. So this deck, again, even without the Link monster, which this event compared to the previous event, Legend Anthology event, prevents you from being able to run your Link monster, which increases the consistency of this deck by significantly. And they also went after this deck in Legends Anthology. So honestly speaking, so they went after the deck. They made Takum Tomborg at 1 in the previous event. I just increased them to 3. This is probably going to be the variant I'm going to run for this event. The Synchro event is pretty well tailored to this. Without the Link monster, it does affect the playability just a smidge, but this deck can still get plays off the ground even without the Link monster. And if you really want to run double summon, you can take out Raigeki and just have this more tailored towards going first. Deck right here has crazy high consistency. If you hit any of his tools like Speedroid Wheel or Terror Top, your plays are going to instantly start. You can get plays started from just summoning Takum Toborg with another monster. And you can be summoned if you control another wind type monster. Honestly, you can take up these cards, the Link enablers like Primitive Butterfly, for example, and replace them with Speedroids. Yeah, you can take out all the Link enablers, but I haven't gone through this deck all the way yet. If I do make a video, I will take out the Link spam, but again, this deck is really tailored to this event. And the final deck that I want to bring up for this event, well, the true final deck, is if you're really short on gems and not that many UR points, I would definitely recommend getting 3 copies of Blackwing's Pride. For 1500 gems, you get a really good deck that actually will probably be a menace in this event. Just because Blackwing Assault Dragon, the retrain of Blackwing Dragon, is really good. Burning your opponent for 700 damage is really good, especially in this event where there's going to be a ton of effects going off at all points of time. A good example is against Synchrons or any deck that essentially is not Swordsoul. You'll probably burn them out before they are able to complete the entire board. Even if they don't, you'll be able to kill them next turn on the clapback. So Blackwings has a great honorable mention for this event. Yeah, this will be my opinion on the best decks in this event. If you have any decks ideas that I did not include definitely leave them down in the comments. Of course, this is a really quick video, so I had to leave a lot of details out about how the decks are ran. The decks that I go over, I do a short little snippet about how to run the deck and what I plan on doing in the win conditions. So if you have any questions and stuff, I will be posting videos like that in the future. And if you are interested in that gameplay, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. You know, subscribing really shows your appreciation and shows that you want to see more content like this. And you can also stop by my Twitch at Dr. Vash, where I actually will be playing the games when the event becomes live on the 19th. So thank you guys for everything, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.